The redemption is happening right now in Israel. I want to talk about what is taking place in the land of Israel this year, after COVID, in the middle of COVID. It doesn't matter. We are in the middle of redemption. What am I talking about? 2,000 years ago, the temples were destroyed. Over 2,000 years ago, the first temple was destroyed. That's why we're commemorating those events through the fast days of Tisha B'Av. What is Tisha B'Av? We are mourning and we are lamenting the destructions of the temples that were built here. There's an important story in the Jewish history of Napoleon Bonaparte, and when he passed by one of the Jewish communities where he was passing by, he heard on the 9th of Av the Jews lamenting and praying in the synagogue. So he asked his helpers, he said, "What is this? What's going on?" They said, "These are the Jewish people who are praying and lamenting over the destruction of their temples." So he answered them, "If this is such a thing that for 2,000 years the Jewish people are still praying for the rebuilding of their temple, most likely God will restore them both to their land and to their temple." So in light of what Napoleon Bonaparte said, I want to connect us with the history of the last destruction of the temple in 70 AD. The Romans came and they tried to destroy the people of Israel, our land, and eradicate us from this land. What I'm holding in my hand is a oil lamp that was used by the Jewish people here, just behind me in the ritual purity baths. This was found there with the burn marks of the Roman attempt of that destruction of eradicating the Jewish people. Today, the Romans are no longer. The Greeks, they're no longer. The Babylonians, they're no longer. The Egyptians, nowhere to be found. But today, the Jewish people are here, alive and well, and therefore the redemption is happening right now as we speak. On this very issue, we have today Yair Levi, who is a good friend of mine, musician, songwriter, Levite, who has a passion to lead in worship and to minister to those coming to worship at the temple, when God willing that temple will be rebuilt one day. So to introduce him, I want to read a beautiful quote from Shai Agnon. He was one of the most famous Jewish poets and writers when he received the Nobel Prize for literary work of many years in the 1960s. In his speech, he mentioned the temple and the Levites. He writes, "As a result of the historic catastrophe in which Titus of Rome destroyed Jerusalem and Israel was exiled from its land, I was born," he's talking about himself, "I was born in one of these cities of the exile, but always regarded myself as one who was born in Jerusalem. In a dream, in a vision of the night, I saw myself standing with my brother Levites in the holy temple, singing with them the songs of David, king of Israel, melodies such as no ear has heard since the day of the city of destroyed and its people were sent to exile." So introduce this next segment. We have Yair, who is a Levite, who is doing exactly what Shai Agnon was wishing and dreaming could be a reality, and I believe we're living that time right now. So we've been filming all over today, different sites, talking about 9th of Av, and I think right here where we're standing, we can really see a good, clear picture about the redemption. Because I believe we're living in the time of redemption. What do you think?
Yeah, you can see behind us, you can see the wall. In one hand, you can see the destruction, but on the other hand, you can see the rebuild of Israel. We are building Jerusalem. We are rebuild, and we are bringing the redemption. That's what we are doing right now.
Prophets talked about children playing in the old city, and over here,
exactly. I want them to see. It's like, yeah, that's what's happening right now here.
Just behind us. Yeah. Just behind us, there are songs of joy and celebration for, I believe it's a bar mitzvah, as I can tell from the sound.
Yeah, that's how it's here. But I want to say another thing. We know that in Tisha B'Av we are fasting and murmuring about the destruction of the temple, but our prophet promised us that in Tisha B'Av it will be a very happy day. So right now we're in the middle of Tisha B'Av. You've seen this video in Tisha B'Av because we are praying, but we are praying every day that this Tisha B'Av won't be a sad day. It will be a happy day, for celebration, and the rebuild of our temple. And it's not only about the temple; it's about the people, the rebuild of the people, of the Jewish people. This is the real Geula.
I think we're in the redemption. The redemption process has begun. In 1948, even before, in the 1800s, Jews were starting to flood and come back to the land to put their hand to the soil. The growth of the fruits and vegetables coming back to life, the land coming back to life. Mark Twain, over 200 years ago, or roughly 200 years ago, I believe, he wrote, "What a desolate land! Jerusalem,
exactly.
What an armpit!" And thank God for Mark Twain and his almost sarcasm, or in the sense of, like, ha ha, God is dead. And guess what, Mark Twain? You're not here, but you spoke as a prophet of the reality of God's word and the redemption, because thanks to him, yes, it was desolate. Yes, it was destruction, but Baruch Hashem, today it's rebuilt. We have life in the old city, and we have life in the Negev. We have life on the Golan. We have life on the Shfela. We have the life of the Jewish people here, and God is alive and breathing, and we see it.
And there is like a very famous idea in the Jewish faith that you can see the light only when you have darkness. So Mark Twain was kind of a reference for us to help us to see what's happening right now.
Exactly.
He made a great job.
Yeah.
Great job.
Not even knowing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now we're on the southern steps of the Temple Mount. Right behind us here, you see the southern wall of the Temple Mount Plaza. And right here to my left, you'll see the steps leading up to the temple. So they would get ritually purified in the purity baths, and then they would walk up these steps going up to the temple. So Yair, can you explain, as a Levite, why is the steps like this, and how does this play into your responsibility as a Levite for the worshipers going to get ready to worship up on the Temple Mount?
So as you teach me, this step to the Temple Mount, they are not in the same size.
Yeah.
So the reason why to build this kind of strange thing,
like a few short and then long.
Yeah.
A few short steps and then a long step.
So it's not because that they want people to stay and rest in the middle.
Yeah.
It's a different story. So the main thing here is not to be occupied to your personal thought, is to walk and think all the time about what you are going to do, and it's to worship God. So the main thing here is that when you are walking on these steps, you stop all the time and thinking what you're gonna do, on what you're gonna do. And the second thing is to hear the Levite singing. So my fathers was sitting here as I, with the instrument, and play to the people that were coming to the Temple Mount, and help them to be focused on the prayer to God, on the worship to God. So for me to sit here and to sing here, it's amazing. This is a very old step,
Yeah.
and when we're sitting here and we're talking about the Bible,
Yeah.
it's not like a legend story.
You're right, a fairy tale.
This is the truth.
Yeah,
This is what happened here.
yeah.
You know?
These are real people.
Yeah.
And so can you-
on these stones, you all the stories of the Bible
Yeah.
been here.
And that's the thing. So just go through your mind. You, like, as far back as you can think, in the Bible stories that you can think of, and characters, names, important people that came and worshipped in Jerusalem, it was here. This we know for a fact. This is Mount Moriah. This is where the Temple of Solomon stood. The Temple of Herod that served the Second Temple period, and so on. The Hasmonean temple that was built with the Hasmoneans who came, but they liberated Jerusalem from the Greeks before the Romans, and they built a temple. And then Herod came and he expanded that. So in other words, there's so much rich history, characters, people that you can connect to. It's real. And
we live.
in the time.
in a time that we are the generation that have a lot of responsibility to rebuild Jerusalem, you know, and we are praying every day in our prayers for the next year in Jerusalem, to rebuild Jerusalem. So this is what we are doing right now in Israel.
Yeah.
And when we are went to the army to fight, to defend Israel, to fight for Israel, this is one of the things. When we are praying for Israel here in Israel, this is a great mission. And for me as a Levite to sit here and to sing Shir LaMa'alot, this is like to connect to the deepest place in my soul, in my history.
Yeah.
I want to say another thing. So it's important for me to say that I'm going to sing Shir LaMa'alot without instrument today, because we are mourning in Tisha B'Av for the temple that was destroyed, and we're praying for rebuild Jerusalem. So that's why we're not allowed to sing with instrument. There is a lot of couple of rules that we're not doing in Tisha B'Av. The more you get closer to Tisha B'Av, the mourning is getting with more and more rules,
emphasis. Yeah.
until Tisha B'Av, that it's like a fasting day. You're not allowed to play on instrument. You're not allowed to do almost anything instead of pray for the rebuild of Jerusalem.
Yeah.
This is all you need to do. And we are reading Echa book. That this is like the crying of the Jewish people for the destruction of the temple. And because it we're talking about Tisha B'Av,
The 9th of Av.
the 9th of Av, the day that we are speaking about the destruction of our temple, of our nation. So in this day we're not allowed to play on instrument. So that's why I'm going to sing right now Shir LaMa'alot, the song that the Levite was singing here.
Psalms of Ascent.
Yeah, for the people, Shir LaMa'alot, it's one of the translation is when you go up, and this is what you see people doing here, going up to the temple. Shir LaMa'alot, אשא עיניי אל ההרים, מאין יבוא עזרי, עזרי מעם עושה שמיים וארץ, אל יתן למות רגליך, אל ינום שומרך, הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל, השם שומרך, השם צילך, על יד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יככה, וירח בלילה, השם ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך, השם ישמור צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם, מעתה ועד עולם. אמן.